Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talk with Darius. Remember to hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share, and set your notifications if you enjoy this channel. Um, we're going to talk briefly about the latest information on assassination attempts on Donald Trump. Did y'all know, were you aware that there are five, according to the report that is about to come up, there are five assassination attempts against Trump, teams set up against Trump? Now, that's just what was reported. Likely could be more than that, okay? But think about that. This is insane, y'all. Let's check this out.
And we're lucky enough right now to be joined by, from the great state of Florida, Congressman Matt Gates. Congressman, great to have you on.
Oh, thanks for having me, John and Amanda. And it's interesting that HSI killed the investigation that Customs and Border Patrol would have thought appropriate. And we all know that Customs and Border Patrol, they interact with a lot of these people with strange stories. And the fact that they flagged this one in particular seems reasonable given the bizarre fact pattern. The attempted assassin was claiming that he was recruiting freedom fighters for Ukraine in Taiwan, Afghanistan, Moldova, other places. And when asked how he resourced such an effort, he said, well, I get the money from my wife. Now, that may very well have been true, but it might not have been. There might have been foreign contacts that were funding this effort on behalf of this American. And if that's true, we would want to know the depth of those communications and of the resources that might have been provided to this person by any of these countries.
Yeah, and you did such a good job asking about that. I want to ask over just a quick follow-up, if Amanda would allow me. The FBI gets tipped off in 2019 to this guy that he might have weapons as a convicted felon. They don't follow up with him. A nurse twice reports this guy to federal authorities in 22 and 23. They don't follow up with him. And then CPB flags this guy, and he's still not followed up with. Whatever happened to say something, see something, say something, do something? It doesn't look like the government follows that anymore.
And the question is why? Why haven't they followed up on those credible calls, credible reports about this guy who's being flagged? Those are questions we need to ask, but people are afraid of getting into conspiracy territory when there is actually something there to see.
Well, I'm certainly proud of the CBP officials who said, there's something squirrely here. There needs to be part of our investigative arm that's activated for the thorough review that would be called for. But you're right, at the top levels, there seems to be a mismanagement of the information. And when we had the person who directs Homeland Security investigations before a committee, she didn't have answers as to the basis for not following up with such strange facts encountered at the border. So I think there are people doing it right. But as you see, if you have one link in the chain that's not effectively conveying the information, demanding the follow-up, then you have a real negative outcome like we had where he was able to enter the country and do harm.
Yeah, great point.
Yeah. So many missed opportunities. I mean, all it requires is a little scratch and sniff. It also requires coordination of a lot of these different agencies, Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, Secret Service, even Border Patrol in this case. And we oftentimes find that it's the brass that is stonewalling or creating the clog in the machine, I suppose. It's the rank and file. How can these people be expected to coordinate, at least the rank and file, if the folks above them are not willing to do the work?
Those are some sound questions. Great points that are being brought up. You know, we're supposed to be able to trust in the law enforcement agencies when they have the taglines of being government agencies. We want to trust that there is maybe not perfect people. Okay, we'll go ahead and start there. It's not perfect people, but we would like to believe that the justice system is basically impartial. Now, of course, being throughout history, of course, you can argue about the racist aspect of it and say there's the system itself is corrupt. That there's a lot of prejudices, racism, flaws in the system. I forget the exact word people use, but basically the system itself is corrupt. And I do agree 100%. Where mankind is involved, it's 50-50 chances right, 50-50 chances wrongs being committed. So, but holistically, we would like to believe that we hold them in such a high esteem that we expect these government agencies to carry a certain level of dignity, honor, respect, and justice with it. But nevertheless, that's not happening.
Yeah, that lack of coordination has been laid bare by these assassination attempts. And I'll break a little news for you. I had a senior official from the Department of Homeland Security in my office before the second assassination attempt saying that what he has assessed is that there are 5 known assassination teams in the United States, 3 inspired by other governments.
How is that possible? How is that possible? They are aware of 5 assassination teams. Now listen, let me say this real quick. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, let's just say this was Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. I don't like either one of them. I'm supporting Trump because for me, he holds a lot of his policies are more in line with my personal values. Okay, just like many of you would say, okay, I don't vote for Trump, I vote for so and so because they're in line with my values, with your values. But that does not mean or negate the fact that injustice. See, if you're the kind of person who says you want justice for thee, but not for others, then you have issues. If this was Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, I would have a problem with it. Why? Because it is a stain on this country. It's a very bad look, and it can put this country into chaos. So we have to understand the stakes are very, very high. They're trying to go after a current presidential nominee, candidate for presidency in 2024. The government does not seem, at least on the left side of it, they do not seem that much concerned at all about Trump's safety. And so they're willing to sacrifice this guy in the name of power. Okay, he's been demonized. But again, this is also bigger than Trump because if they get through to Trump, if they're able to succeed, I guarantee you they're coming after the rest of us. Now, that's not my guarantee. Just look at the tea leaves, okay? Look at the handwriting on the wall. Listen to the rhetoric being spewed by those on the left side. Go and do some research and find out about those pro-lifers, for example, who are being arrested and put in prison or in jail, while at the same time you have Antifa members and so on, people who are actually causing violence, like the Summer of Love, those who are committing violence in places like New York, California, LA. Go and do some research and see how long those fools are being put in prison or in jail and then getting out, while people who are law abiding citizens are being imprisoned or being attacked or being ostracized or what have you. The FBI showing up at their front door. This is beyond Trump, y'all. This is of a spiritual nature, as a spiritual nature, and of an which spews over into the natural realm.
2 that are here that are known domestic assassination teams. And with that, this individual was coming to me concerned that the force protection around President Trump, even prior to that second assassination attempt, was not sufficient for what it needed to be. And the coordination at that level, at the dignitary protection level, is like the bare minimum that we have to do to keep our presidents, our presidential candidates safe while they're on the trail.
So there are 5, I just want to follow up, 5 assassination teams. Are they all targeting Trump? Is it other officials?
Yes. No, wow. I should have been clear about that. 5 teams that we know are targeting Trump. And so that raises real questions about why certain teams were being pulled off of the Trump detail and put on, for example, the Jill Biden detail. Now, we don't want anything bad to happen to Jill Biden, but at the same time, the threat envelope for her was substantially different than the threat envelope around President Trump.
Right.
And it would not have necessitated pulling assets away from the Trump detail for the Joe Biden detail or the John Bolton detail or any other details that were beefed up. At the same time, the requests from the Trump detail and from the Trump campaign for more security were going unanswered.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Congressman, I know that you and a number of other problem-solving type members of Congress have probably thought and had conversations about what could be done to at least supplement Secret Service to protect President Trump. What would be your recommendation to the Trump campaign?
President Trump is the last person worried about this, to be honest. I mean, he's worried about his message. He's worried about the safety of the people there. And I think he himself does not reflect on his personal security. And that's why those around him need to. I think that there are ways to augment some extended perimeters with some private security. I've heard Eric Prince, a very smart guy, opine as to what it could take to ensure that folks aren't able to just set up and get this close. I mean, you think about what happened in the second assassination attempt. Someone was able to park outside and plan and prepare and lie in wait for the former president. And that should never happen. And it might need some sort of private augmentation to ensure that we keep President Trump safe.
Yeah, good point.
There are no accidents or coincidences as far as I'm concerned. So I know some folks don't want to say something along those lines, but since they leave a lot leave a lot out there on the table to speculate, so to speak. You don't really. You can just look at the signs. You know, a wise man once said to pay attention to the signs of the times. Okay, people need to pay attention. It's just like in everyday relationships. How do you know a woman's being abused? Look at the signs of the times. Children, how they're being abused, signs. Even some men being abused, whatever, emotionally, physically. Look at the signs. There are always signs. The shootings that's been happening in some of that's been happening in the schools. There have been signs that they would say certain things. People are drawn into being alone by themselves. They do things secretly at home. Parents don't pay attention. Some of them, and so if we don't pay attention to the signs when we driving down the road, for example, detour signs or mileage signs or whatever, if we don't pay attention to what's right there in plain sight, it's no wonder we get hit between the eyes, so to speak. When truth hits, and that's what I think happens with a lot of people. They don't pay attention to the signs, and then when they get smacked in the mouth or when they have to face a dose of reality, all of a sudden they want to get an attitude about it, blame everybody and everything else, and don't want to take accountability. We need to take accountability of what's going on. This is not just about Trump. This affects all of us, whether you're liberal, Republican, conservative, Christian, non-Christian, whatever. This affects all of us. Now, yes, this situation affects one side more than the other right now. But once these evil people are finished going after their opponents, who do you think they're going to turn on next? Now, I don't peddle fear. I share awareness. I encourage that we pray. For those of you who believe in Jesus Christ, the King of Heaven, the King of Glory, whom I'm affiliated with, whom I serve, whom I pledge my allegiance to first and foremost before America. I pray for this country. I pray for peace in Jerusalem. I pray, and also you have to prepare, vote, take the necessary steps, take care of your family, things of that nature, and embrace. Because these are challenging times we're living in, but there is an answer, there's a solution. Everybody don't want it, though. Let's be honest. Everybody don't want the same solution.
Point. Congressman, we've got about a minute and a half left. 5 assassination teams. Was this Homeland Security official coming to you as a whistleblower? Was he coming to you in official capacity? And was the Secret Service aware of these assassin teams before July 12th or before this past Sunday? They were.
Yes. So the person was informing me of this information because the Secret Service was aware of the threat profile around President Trump. And again, this was before the second assassination attempt. And the person was coming to me in part to ensure that if they revealed this information, if investigations and reviews brought this to light, that it would be able to be scrutinized and assessed without this person being fired or rat-holed or sent into the closet somewhere. As you and I know, some folks who are the truth tellers tend to find themselves. So our office likes to be, a place of respite for those who can come and say, look, here's what's actually happening. And then we try to get that information before the public in the most responsible way possible. And I think the public should know that the Secret Service was aware of 5 assassination teams at the time. They were taking protective assets away from President Trump and redeploying them to other people with less of a risk profile around them.
That is just unbelievable. Congressman, you do such great oversight work. I remember all the great work you did during Russia collusion to unravel that fake scandal. This is a bombshell. We can't thank you enough for bringing this to light. This is very important information. Great to have you on the show.
Thanks. Good to see you, John. Good to see you, Amanda.
You as well.
Yeah, this is absolutely incredible. Again, I agree. I'm grateful for this information coming to light. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it also opened your eyes and made you more aware that we live in a different world in different times. As I mentioned in my previous video, I was not around when JFK was assassinated. I was just a little boy when there was an assassination attempt on President Reagan. And yet I'm here in 2024, and I'm seeing nearly 2 going on 3 potential. I say going on 3 because, recently I also at one of Trump's rallies, I think in Arizona, some of his supporters who were sitting behind him allegedly been hit with some type of chemical, biological attack of some sort. You have to do some research on it. I might talk about it another time. We'll see. But my point is, we're living in incredible times that you can't afford to have your head in the sand. You can't afford just to keep your head down and say, I'm not interested in politics and religion and all those type of things. Our lives are being affected. And if you don't care enough to do it for you, care enough to do it for the people you love, your children, your spouse, or those that you love, to say, okay, I need to pay attention to what's going on so I can take the necessary steps. Because one day, whether you like it or not, if you ain't careful, it's going to end up on your front door. And no amount of emotionalism and getting upset and blaming everybody else is gonna suffice and make things better for you. So we have to take the necessary steps. And how you do that? Number one, being aware. Number two, taking care. Taking care to see what type of solutions is good for you and your family. Check me out again. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this video if you enjoy the content. Share this channel if you enjoy the content. I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate those of you who subscribed. I'm on the path to hitting 1,000 subscribers, so I appreciate any support. And God bless you. I love you. I'll see you next time.